Breathing in, I become aware of my in-breath, going into my body. Breathing out, I become aware of my out-breath, flowing out of my body. In-breath, out-breath. Breathing in, I allow my mind to settle. Breathing out, I allow my body to relax. Mind settling, body relaxing. Breathing in, I become aware of the peace or the noise in my mind. Breathing out, I become aware of the peace or the noise around me. Peace inside, peace outside. Breathing in, I become aware of the warmth of my body. Breathing out, I send love to every cell in my body. Warmth and feeling love. Breathing in, I feel joy arise in my body and in my mind. Breathing out, I smile, feeling joy in body and mind, smiling. So dear respected Thai, dear brothers and sisters, and dear friends, do you know I love you? I'm very happy to be here with all of you in this hall, and also to celebrate Christmas. In the beginning, when I came to Plum Village in 1990, there were some lay friends who came here for Christmas and New Year, and they were quite upset that we celebrated Christmas because they came here to escape Christmas. So there's no escape from Christmas in Plum Village. Christmas for us is a wonderful time. It is a time where indeed we go home usually. Huh? Christmas had something to do with going home, going to a place we know. And for us, Christmas is also a place to go, a time to go home, a time to go home to ourselves, to connect with ourselves, to be truly present. And this year, Christmas and New Year fall outside of our 3 months retreat. During the time of the Buddha, the monastics, they were mendicants, and they traveled on foot everywhere. But during the rainy season, they would walk and they could inadvertently step on an insect and maybe kill the insect. That's not something they wanted to do. So they changed, and they were actually criticized a little bit by other traditions that they would kill little insects while walking. Inadvertently, of course, they would kill them. So the Buddha said, during the rainy season, we will all gather in a monastery and we will not go out walking in the countryside. And since that time, monastics have gathered every year for 3 months during the rainy season in order to study and deepen their practice together. And at the end of the 3 months, they would get some guidance in order to see their path ahead clearly. And here in our tradition also, at the end of the 3 months, every single one of us receives guidance from others in the community. And even a newly ordained novice can give some guidance to the eldest of the community, because they have fresh eyes and they may look at us with new eyes and see things that others have already taken for granted. Yeah. So in Plum Village, this annual 3-month retreat is usually held in winter, from mid-November to mid-February, and we call it the winter retreat. And this is indeed a time where we all go back to our monasteries. Outside of the winter retreat, we may be traveling, not on foot anymore. We travel also by car and by plane, and we do our best to reduce the traveling by air and take a train if possible, in order to express our love to Mother Earth. So we used to call this 3-month retreat our winter retreat. And Christmas and New Year were celebrated during our annual winter retreat. However, there was one year where we had our 3-month retreat earlier in the year. We had it directly, or later if you like, we had it directly after our New Year celebration. In the year 2004, after we had celebrated the New Year, we got on a bus, about an hour later or something, yeah, and we were on a bus very early in the morning to travel to Paris, and from there we took a plane to travel to our monastery in Southern California, where all the monastics from the centers in America had gathered. And we spent the 3 months together there. It was the first time that Christmas and New Year fell outside of our annual 3-month retreat. And this year it's the second time. We had our 3-month retreat in autumn, from mid-September to mid-December, and we called it the autumn retreat. Too early to be winter. I've made a few notes. When we speak about going home, we speak about going home to ourselves. So often, we run away from ourselves. We run away from the present moment. We run away into the past. We become a prisoner of the past. Something has happened in the past, and it holds us prisoner. And we keep coming back again and again, mulling the same story over and over again. It may be a regret or a deep wound. Or we are pulled into the present, into the future. We worry about something in the future. We have fear of the future. Fear has its roots in not knowing. When we walk somewhere in the dark, in a place we don't know, we may feel a little fearful because we don't know. We do not know the path very well. Maybe there's a hole in the path, or maybe a dog will come out from a house and bark at us. We do not know. So there's a little bit fearful. And we try sort of to project our mind into the future, into the next 10 yards or 100 yards. And we are pulled out of the present. And with that, we do not really know what is happening in the present. And if there is something on the road, we're so concerned with what be further ahead that we don't notice there is a rock and we may hurt ourselves on the rock. Exactly what we were trying to avoid by thinking of the future. Are you familiar with this, or is it just me? No? Okay, great. Reassures me. So the best way actually of taking care of the past and taking care of the future is to be truly present in the here and the now. And here in Plum Village we have many ways of coming back to the present moment. Thai, our beloved teacher, who is in Vietnam, in the Root Temple at the moment, the temple where Thai ordained as a novice. Thai is right there, right now. Thai has offered us many, many doors that help us to always come back to ourselves. And one of them is the sound of the bell. Whenever we hear the sound of the bell, we are reminded that life takes place in the here and the now. Yeah? And we have an opportunity to bring our mind home to our body. Our body is here. Our mind is not always here. But bringing our mind home to our body, it means we are bringing our mind and body together, and then we dwell stably in the present moment. Maybe we can have a sound of the bell, so we can practice that together. We bring our mind back to our body, and we become aware of our in-breath. We become aware of our body. We become aware of our out-breath, and we let go of any tension we may find anywhere in our body. When we come back to the present moment and we let go of our regrets of the past and worries of the future, we have one moment of freedom, one moment of peace. And when we have freedom and peace, quite naturally, a smile is born upon our lips. So maybe we can turn to our neighbor on our right and left and offer them that smile. Maybe first to your right, then to your left. But make sure that your neighbor does the opposite. Huh? We like to think of Christ as a great bodhisattva. A bodhisattva is a great being who wants to help and who helps relieve the suffering in the world. And for us, in the practice, how do we respond to the world? From where inside of us do we come? Do we come from a mind of love, capable of embracing all that is? Do we come from a mind of peace? A mind of joy, a mind of hope? Where do we come from? Here in Plum Village, we like to celebrate Advent. We get together in the 4 weeks leading up to Christmas, and we reflect on the 4 elements of Advent. So I'd like to share a little bit with you about this. The Buddha also said, we need to know how to cultivate moments of joy and happiness in our daily life. If you would like to offer joy, then we first have to have it. We cannot offer something we don't have. And Christmas is a time where we offer gifts. If you want to offer the gift of joy, we need to have joy. We cannot just offer an empty box. We have a little box with joy in it, if you like. And a smile already brings a lot of joy to other people. We like to water seeds of joy in our daily life. And there are many little wonders in our life that are maybe small. However, appreciating the little small wonders of life, we end up having a lot of wonders, which means a lot of joy also. So we like to recognize all the conditions for joy and happiness we already have. What brings our joy? What brings joy in our life? What brings joy in our life right now? Being together in Plum Village over the Christmas and New Year time. When we prepare to come to Plum Village, we prepare with a lot of joy. We're looking forward to being here. And then we arrive here, and then our practice is to keep this joy alive during our time here. First, maybe when we come here, we are struck by the landscape, we're struck by the beauty. Maybe we're struck by the hooting of the owls. At least here in the Lower Hamlet, there are many owls that hoot. And we really enjoy them. We enjoy them the first day, the second day, the third day. By the 4th day, we're so used to them that it's no longer the same. But if we practice always coming back to ourselves with the sound of the bell, or with every step we take, to take a step on the earth, and being aware of the contact between our earth and the feet, and our feet, to tread gently on the earth, we come back to the present moment, and we will be able to touch all the wonders of life. and allow the seed of joy in us to be watered. We see that we are relatively healthy. We are here like a family. We have friends on the path, which is a great, great joy. To practice all by ourselves is not so easy. We have a sangha to take refuge in. And although our sangha may not be perfect, it's good enough. I usually tell my sisters, if our sangha was perfect, all the beings in our sangha were perfect, I would not be allowed to join, because I'm not perfect. So I'm quite happy to know that our sangha is not quite perfect, and that an imperfect sangha is good enough. It gives rise to a great gratitude to me. And to have gratitude also means joy. All we're grateful for are sources of joy. We think what we're grateful for, yes, a source of gratitude. No, it's also a source of joy. We're grateful for the food we have on our plate. We're grateful we have a place to sleep. We're grateful we have clothes to wear. It's not a given thing for everybody, and especially around Christmas time, we remember the less fortunate ones. And remembering the less fortunate ones, we don't indulge. We don't indulge, I say. We remember the less fortunate ones. We can be moderate in what we take, what we have, what we go out and buy. At times, we get lost in thinking that may not be helpful. That may not be helpful for us to understand ourselves or others. When we find ourselves thinking in a way that's not helpful, then we practice what we call changing the peg, change the CD. We put in a different CD. We listen to something else. Maybe we can have another sound of the bell, and we may just check for a little moment. What are the sources of joy in my life right now? Let us just bring up joy. What is it that brings us joy in our life right now? And really be with it and appreciate this. We call that we touch the seed of joy. We water our seed of joy by remembering what brings us joy and not to take our joy for granted. So with the sound of the bell, let us bring our mind home to our body and bring up the joy we encounter in our life right now. We like to nourish our joy, our peace, our love every day. And we nourish our love, our joy, our peace every day by what we consume. And this means what we take in. Not just consuming by eating, but also what we see and what we hear. Is what I am watching right now watering my seed of joy? Is it watering my seed of peace? Is it watering my seed of understanding, which is the foundation from which love manifests? What I see, what I hear, what I think, is it watering seeds of joy, peace, love, understanding? And if not, then can I think something else? Can I watch something else? Can I listen in a different way? Or listen to something else? Sometimes we are in a situation where I say, I have to listen to this. Right? If somebody is angry with us, and they speak in an angry way, we have to listen to it. It's not watering our seeds of joy. In fact, it may be watering our seeds of anger or sadness. In that case, we can see if we can listen, continue to listen, but in a different way. Can I listen in order to understand that this person is angry because they suffer? Somebody who is happy, who doesn't suffer, is not angry. When we're angry, it means there is suffering within us. And if there's somebody there who can recognize this and listen to us, or if we are the person who is there and able to listen, we may help to relieve the anger and the suffering in the other person. And in order to be able to listen, we need to be truly present. You may have had the experience where you would like to share something with somebody and you have the feeling they're not listening. And then we say, you're not listening. And they say, oh yes, I am. But they continue maybe doing what they're doing. I know this. I once told somebody, you're not listening. And the answer was, I can do two things at the same time. And I thought, yeah. I wasn't so sure, to tell you the truth. I did not feel heard at all. So when somebody comes and wants to speak to me, I stop doing what I'm doing. Not just physically, but also mentally. I stop and I practice being truly present, to offer my true presence, because I know from being at the receiving end that a true presence is a very great gift. Maybe the greatest gift we can offer each other. So we'd like to offer our true presence, that is containing peace, joy, and love. Thai tells us, peace in ourselves, peace in the world. My mother used to say, peace starts at home. And when we were fighting, she would say, war starts at home. Children, please stop fighting. And since we didn't want to have war, we were pretty good at stop fighting, to tell you the truth. Looking back, I see that now. So we like to cultivate peace. And peace arguments are very often founded in views. They have roots in our views. We identify ourselves with our views. Have you ever noticed that? You know, if we have a view and somebody kind of challenges that views, we become very defensive. And I've wondered, why do I become so defensive when somebody challenges my views? And then I thought, it's because I identify with my view. And when you challenge my views, you challenge me. Yeah, who I am. Yeah. However, if we look carefully at ourselves, others, the world, we will see that war is all about views. We're holding on to views. So to be able to let go of a view, we're going in the direction of peace. To be able to listen to others so attentively that we can hear what they're saying and what they're not saying in order to understand where they're coming from. We're going in the direction of peace. Thai has given us the mantra, "Are you sure?" And I really like that mantra. Am I sure? It is something I practice to remind myself again and again. Are you sure? Are you sure? Am I sure of my perceptions? Am I sure that my view is right? My view, my perceptions, my habit energies, all that I identify with. Am I sure that that's all I am? I am more than my views. I am more than my perceptions. I am more than my habit energies. Much more. And the practice of letting go helps me to go in that direction. So whenever I hear the sound of the bell, I stop and I check. What is what we call the mental formation that was present at the moment the bell was invited? Was I happy? Was I sad? Was I holding on to a view? Was I defensive? You know? What was happening inside of me with the sound of the bell? And then by coming back to my breathing, come back to my body, I go and find where the tension in my body may be, and I breathe with where I find any tension in order to soften it and to let it go. We call this the practice of stopping. Stopping to let go, to come home to ourselves, and to get a little bit more insight. And my experience is when the bell is invited and I bring my mind home to our body, then after a few breaths, I check to see if there is a difference within myself. Have I really stopped? Have I really let go? Is there a little bit more peace, a little bit more joy? If there is, I know I really stopped. If there isn't, I know I just waited. You know? Wow. Yeah, I hear somebody, I'm very reassured, somebody is nodding their head. I just stopped and mentally continued with whatever I was doing. If this happens to you, then don't panic. Even if everybody continues to move and doing what they're doing, you can still take a moment to stop and truly stop. And enjoy a moment of peace and also a moment of joy. So let's have another sound of the bell and see if we can really go back to ourselves, go back to our breathing and enjoy the air moving into our body and enjoy the air moving out of our body. And check our body to see if there's any tension in our body anywhere. And stay with that tension for a moment. Just stay with it. Be with it. Maybe get to know its nature. It may be hard, it may be tingling, it may be heavy. And just see what it is without evaluating it, without judging it. Not it's hard or it's awful. No, it's just hard. You know, it's heavy, it's tight, it's tingling. Just that. So let's take a moment with the sound of the bell. Sometimes a regret concerning something we did or did not do in the past robs us of our peace. There may have been interactions with partners or friends or families or colleagues that were unskillful and that we regret. And this regret is what robs us of our peace. So in Plum Village we have a practice to reconcile. And we even have a practice called the Peace Treaty. And it's a beautiful treaty. And at the bottom there is a place for a signature with the date and the year. Very easy, we can just sign it. But practicing it is a different matter, I have noticed. Because here it says, the one who is angry agrees to refrain from saying or doing anything that might cause further damage or escalate the anger. Have you ever tried that? You know, when we're angry and then we stop, you know, in order to not escalate the issue, the situation. You know, when you have something on the tip of your tongue, you want to say out of anger, and then not say it. I have tried that, not to say it, and to keep it on my tongue. You know, the tongue has taste buds. If you keep what you want to say there for a while, you can really taste its true nature. And you may, we may want to consider if this is really what we want to offer the other person. Or maybe just hold it and say, is there any way we can change the taste a little bit? And we can, if we know how to stop and to look deeply into ourselves and into the other. If we get angry, it is basically because we have the capacity to be angry. We call that we have the seed of anger in us. If we would not have a seed of anger, no matter what people would do, we would not get angry. But we have the seed of anger, and it can be triggered, as we call it. So do we always have to get angry? No. Here we learn, we practice together how to always come back to ourselves in order to see what is happening inside of us and to take care and not to let things build up. So if a little thing happens, not to wait until it gets too big, but already go to the other and communicate. Communicate in such a way that helps the situation and doesn't aggravate the situation. So before we communicate, we need to do a little bit of practice. In our daily life, we will go back to ourselves and we look deeply. If the other person was unskillful, we can check ourselves and ask, have I ever been unskillful? And when we see that we have been unskillful, then can we accept ourselves for our unskillfulness? Can we look deeply into ourselves to see what brought about that unskillfulness? And see maybe that there were many, many conditions that brought about that unskillfulness. Maybe our health was not so good. Yeah? Maybe we had a wrong perception. Yeah? Maybe we had a wrong view. Yeah? And we acted from all those. And maybe our mindfulness was not there, or not strong enough. And we acted unskillfully. Thai, who is a very compassionate teacher, who not just offers his compassion to us, but guides us in developing, cultivating compassion in ourselves. Yeah. So Thai tells us, if you make a mistake, or Thai tells us, students, it is not that Thai never wants you to make a mistake, but Thai just wants us to learn something from our mistakes. And I have noticed that what I've learned from my mistakes has also made me more compassionate towards the mistakes of others. Because practicing, learning from mistakes, means first that we need to accept the fact that we make mistakes. And like I just said, to see what is the root of it, to understand. Why did we say what we said? Why did we do what we did? Why did we not say what we didn't say? Why did we not do what we didn't do? In order to understand. And when there's understanding, there can be compassion. And looking at ourselves like that, we will also be able to look at others like that. So in the peace treaty, we're advised to look at the ways we ourselves have been unskillful at times, that we may have hurt other people because of our habit energies. Or maybe we have allowed our seed of anger to be watered too much by watching things, by listening to things. And also to understand also that happiness is not an individual matter. If someone in our environment is not happy, it is very difficult to be happy. We can try, but it's not so difficult, it's not easy. Because when they're not happy and they're suffering, they will pour their suffering over us. So if we help them to find happiness, then we also benefit from their happiness. Happiness is not an individual matter. If you want peace, and we look deeply into ourselves to see what brought us to do what we regret to do. The moment we notice we regret something, let us not wait, but immediately let the other person know that we regret what we said or did. I always thought that expressing a regret is something that I offer to the other. But by looking and observing, I've seen, if I express a regret, I feel much better. Because the regret also comes from being able to accept myself as I am at this moment. Yeah. And then a regret comes easily. I apologize. So let us do a short meditation with the sound of the bell. And just reflect on, is there anybody in our lives right now that we're not at peace with? And how? What steps are we going to undertake to bring about peace and harmony between us? Can we look at the other person with the eyes of compassion? Can we look at ourselves with the eyes of compassion? Let's just reflect for a few moments with the sound of the bell. When there's joy within us, when there's peace within us, there's also love. True love means inclusiveness, not exclude anyone from our love. And true love also means understanding. Understanding ourselves, understanding others. In order to understand ourselves, we have to be in our own skin, coming home to ourselves and look, how did we come to be the person we are today? kind of seeds were watered in us as a child? What kind of seeds did we inherit from our parents, our grandparents, our ancestors, our land ancestors, our nation? What kind of seeds did we water in ourselves by our way of thinking, our views? What were the notions that were handed to us in our formative years, in school, by the teachers, in higher education, our circle of friends? How have we been conditioned by all those interactions? And how have we conditioned others in our interactions? Let us do a short meditation on ourselves. A meditation we do on ourselves and that we can then do on others. You may like to close your eyes. And reflect on how you have become the person you are right now. Maybe see yourself as a child. What was watered in you as a child in your environment? Your family? In school, like the primary school, your basic education. Through the interactions with others, with children, the teachers. Through the notions that were handed down to you. Then look at your further education. How did you come to develop the views you have now? How is the environment you grew up in? The neighborhood? How has it formed you? How has it formed you to become the person you are now? And how has society at large formed you? And how is a path of practice, this practice, or practice in a different tradition, how has that formed you? Looking at all the conditions that have formed you, understanding can be born for how you are as you are right now. Now bring to mind a person you love. And do the same with them. What do you know about their childhood that has formed them? What do you know about their education that has formed them? What do you know about the environment they grew up in that has formed them? With understanding, there is love. And now bring to mind somebody you have difficulties with. Difficulty to love. What do you know about their childhood? If you don't give them the benefit of not knowing. What do you know about their education? What do you know about their environment, the environment they grew up in, they lived in? Seeing all the causes and conditions of how they grew up, that formed them. Understanding is born. Understanding the foundation of love. Understanding someone with love does not mean that we condone their actions. When we understand, we will look for ways to help them, to help them understand what leads to peace, to joy, to love, or what leads to suffering. Bodhisattvas, great beings, do not exclude anyone from their love. Thank you. Thank you. If we have joy, peace, and love, then there is hope. Hope for a shared future, a future for all of us. Looking deeply into ourselves helps us to understand ourselves and look at ourselves with the eyes of compassion. Understanding ourselves helps us to understand other people, and we can look with the eyes of compassion at them. Walking this path of understanding and love is possible. As a sangha, we can do it. I know you are there, and I am so happy. Without you, I would not be able to walk this path. Let us continue to walk the path together, to stop from time to time, and to take time to enjoy the small wonders of life. To take time to look at what blocks us from peace. To take time to look at what stops us from loving, looking at all the causes and conditions, and then know we have a path, we have a practice, we have a path. With the practice, we go in the direction of healing and transformation, first ourselves, and then we support others on their path of healing and transformation. Peace be with you. Thank you very much.
There is true joy right here, and we are so glad that we have found it. There is true joy right here. Peace. There is true peace right here. There is true peace right here. And we are so glad that we have found it. There is true peace right here. Love. There is true love right here. There is true love right here. And we are so glad that we have found it. There is true love right here. Hope. There is true hope right here. There is true hope right here. And we are so glad that we have found it. There is true hope right here.